An increase in the call for disaster help is leading to a call for volunteers.
This morning, News 13's Victoria Dunkle is showing us what it takes to be a Red Cross disaster volunteer. And Vic, the team there really needs our help.
They do. In fact, I was just talking to the folks here at the American Red Cross chapter that's right here serving our mountains, and they say it used to be they would average 2 disasters per day. Now that's up to 3. And with the weather we've been seeing and those fires you were just talking about, we are seeing an increased demand all across the 27-county region that our chapter covers. And that's why Gary Schwartz and I were talking. It's so important for us to be ready and have volunteers in place. You actually work with the folks who go out and set up the shelters that people rely on, don't you?
I do, Victoria. We have to be ready whenever disaster strikes. You don't know when it's coming. You have to be ready. You have to have agreements in places where you're going to go, and you have to have people. When you bring people in, you need trained volunteers to help out.
Well, let's take a look at some of the video of what happens when the volunteers do come in and get some training. And while we look at that, let's talk about what I'm going to learn. If I sign up to become a volunteer, a disaster volunteer with the American Red Cross, what are you going to teach me?
Anybody can be a volunteer. Anybody can have the skills if you like people, if you want to help people, if you're ready to take care of their needs at a moment's notice. We try to emphasize the 3 R's: respect, rules, and routine. When people have lost everything, they need to have a place that's welcoming, that cares for them. They need a routine. Everything is gone in their life. They're totally disoriented, so they need to have a routine, and they have to have rules that will help them understand what is going on.
And you help them sort through the confusion that can come with what's my next step. There's so many aspects of this, but the thing that you brought up is very important. Any one of us can be a disaster volunteer for the American Red Cross, and you can sign up. They have special trainings taking place, and they're willing to work with you and show you exactly what you can do to make a difference in someone's life when disaster strikes. We have a link for you set up at newslinks at WLOS.com. Go there and check out your opportunities to make a difference in lives, just like Gary does, at a moment's notice. Live in Asheville, Victoria Dunkle, News 13.
News 13's Victoria Dunkle is live with a call for Red Cross disaster volunteers. Vic, what does volunteering mean?
Well, it means being able to be there when they need you, and nobody can tell when a disaster is going to hit, so that could be at the drop of a hat. And here's what we're going to learn this time. Hank Jager is one of the disaster volunteers, and he's one of the folks who heads out and sets up the shelters and is there, one of the first faces people see. You're helping me learn what I would learn as a volunteer trainee, right?
That is correct. Usually when we have decided we're going to open up a shelter in a certain area, we make sure the cots are there first, because they all have to be set up.
Okay.
Most of the cots come unassembled in a bag, okay, and we pull them out. For the luxury of display, what we've done is at least taken it out of the bag, opened up the cot.
So you're going to be putting up about how many of these in a shelter?
If it is a pre-event type of shelter that we're preparing.
Like when we said we were going to have that snowstorm
Exactly.
come in.
We had about 6 or 8 of these set up just in case people started to show up.
And then we get these ends on to firm it up?
Just like you did.
Okay.
Now, the one thing we do is we end up inserting.
I'm going to connect this part down here.
Yes.
Can you reach behind you and grab that key thing, that what we all seem to connect with the American Red Cross? What's the first thing you give them when they walk in as someone in need?
When they walk in the door, we give them 2 blankets. All right. One blanket, believe it or not, is for the bottom blanket or pillow of their choice.
Okay.
And then the second one, of course,
to keep them warm.
To keep them warm.
So we're getting this cot all set up, and I'll fix that in the next one. I'm learning, and so can you, because this is something they're going to be working with, and Hank's going to make sure I get it right, aren't you?
I'll make sure you get it right.
He'll do the same for you when you sign up to be a volunteer for the American Red Cross Disaster Volunteer Team. We have information for you on our website at Newslinks. Also, if you want to call 258-3888. In the next half hour, I'll have this put together the right way, and we're going to also talk about what happens if you are someone who's in need of help. We're going to walk you through the faces you'll see when you get here. Reporting live in Asheville, Victoria Dunkle, News 13.
Well, with all the recent weather events that we've had over the past few years, the rate of disasters in our region has increased from 2 per day to 3 per day.
And the team that responds to those emergencies needs your help. Let's go back out live to News 13's Victoria Dunkle, who is learning what it takes to be a Red Cross volunteer. Good morning, Vic.
Good morning. So last time we were together, we were setting up the cot and getting those very familiar blankets ready. You know, when you see people in the video, when we first arrive on the scene and the American Red Cross is here, they're giving them the blankets, they're offering comfort. And Hank and I have actually moved to this next spot. It's the registration area. So what are you going to teach me as a volunteer? What do I need to know when I'm the face of comfort, I hope, for victims of a disaster?
Number one, that is a comfortable face when the people approach the desk to register in. We have a very basic registration form.
So I'm going to get their name and I'm going to ask a couple questions.
And identifies the members of the family.
Okay.
Okay, and all of whom would be coming into the shelter.
Okay.
And then from that, there are two very simple, basic questions that are asked, and it goes with their well-being, is how do they feel, and do they need any additional assistance?
Then you're going to do something that you call snacking them. You're going to snack them. That's something you do a lot of, but there's a reason for it, right?
There's a reason for it. Snacks are a comfort food.
Yes.
You have a person that is in a traumatic experience. They come in the door. We provide them with information of what's going to happen next and also snacks. And then when we're finished at the registration, we'll move them into the back, and believe it or not, there'll be another snack table back there to continue. It is a diversionary tactic to take some of the stress off. And it's a simple function to perform.
And that's the thing is this is what, as a volunteer, you come and you work hard doing those simple functions that are absolutely crucial to someone who has lost everything in a matter of an instant. And you know what? I was talking to Hank, and this gave me a lot of relief. If you're watching and going, I couldn't do that, I don't have the right training, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have any medical background, doesn't matter. The American Red Cross has a program in place. It has the skills and the tools to teach you so you can be ready to help your friends and your neighbors. God forbid, if disaster strikes, they still need our help in an instant. Go to our website, WLOS.com, click on news links, and find out how you can be part of a special orientation. They're happening all across the region in the next few weeks. Live in Asheville, Victoria Dunkle, News 13.
Well, when disaster strikes, volunteers are key to first response.
And News 13's Victoria Dunkle has been showing us what it takes to become a Red Cross disaster volunteer.
Well, this morning we've actually gone through several steps and shown you from setting up the cots to getting the blankets ready. And I was talking to the team here at the regional chapter, and Amanda Edwards, who is the community director, you really say that this could not happen without the volunteers. That is the crux of how things get done.
Absolutely. We rely on our volunteers. We have a 95% volunteer-led workforce. The work simply cannot happen without the volunteers, and they tell us that it's the most meaningful volunteer work that they have often done.
And when she's talking about that, they are the faces, the first faces people see after a disaster when the victims are desperately looking for help in that setting. And, you know, Tony Reed is actually the one who helps coordinate those situations. You make sure that the shelters are ready. You make sure that you have the volunteers in place. How crucial is it for you to have a large number of people stepping up and saying help?
It is very crucial. We cover 27 counties, a 2.1 million population. Geography plays a lot into that, and we have response times that we have to meet, so we've got to be anywhere in the region in less than 2 hours.
And you say because it's volunteers and things like jobs or family, they can't always drop and go when you need them, so you don't have 100% turnout at any given need, right?
Normally we have about a 35 to 40% turnout of volunteers on any operation. And therefore we have to have volunteers that are retired, that work, that can respond 24 hours a day, but we can make the situation work for anybody no matter how much time you can commit.
And the other thing to keep in mind is you don't have to have any special training. Whatever your skill set is, they have a way for you to use that and put that to use to help your friends, your family, in the case of a disaster. There are some great orientation sessions coming up throughout the next few weeks. You can find out all the details and all of the ways that we can get involved and help make a difference with the American Red Cross here in our region when you go to WLOS.com, click on News Links. Reporting live in Asheville, Victoria Dunkle, News 13.